Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a little bit. Last video I did was the July unboxing of the moon box, but today I thought I'd hop on. I've put together a few tarot questions that I was going to answer, and then we'll go from there. Also, it's a change of scenery. I'm actually in my living room on my couch with my puppy. Mwah, with Odie, and then Fargus is over there. But yeah, so let's hop on in. So, first question is, what's your most spiritual tarot deck that you own? And that deck is actually the Marielle Tarot, which is this. And it's my most spiritual because I use it to connect with my deity, the Morrigan. And that's what I use this deck exclusively for, is just communicating with her. So it is my most spiritual in that aspect. Like, I don't use it for anything else except communicating with the Morrigan. Show you one of the cards as to what drew me in and what actually convinced me that I should use this deck to commune with her. Okay, this isn't the card, but this was one of my favorite cards in here. Death. So pretty. But let's see if I can find that card. Of course, it's going to take me for... Right, is this it? Oh, yeah. So, 10 of Swords. Look at that. Such a good card. That card, and then... I think that was the only one. Oh no, Queen, 10 of Swords and 7 of Swords. Of course, they both have, you know, the crow or the raven in there, and it's just, yeah, I love this deck. But yeah, so that's my most spiritual tarot deck, Marielle. Next question is, do you use tarot as a magical tool? Example, spellcrafting, pathworking, manifestation? If so, how? I do use it as a magical tool whenever I'm doing ritual work or whenever I'm working in any capacity. I'll generally draw a tarot card to work with within my ritual, or I'll just draw cards to kind of get an idea of, you know, how it's going to play out or what's going to happen, you know what I mean? So I do like to draw cards for rituals, or I will intentionally go through the deck and actually pick a card that represents what I want to manifest or what I want to bring into being. How did you learn tarot? So I learned... If you hear any, like, the cars or motorcycles, there's some kids going by on four-wheelers. But I learned tarot kind of very naturally and organically. I played with the cards, and it was basically just repetition and just practice of, you know, seeing the cards and reading the cards and looking at the books. So it was basically just repetition until I got to the point where I knew I wanted to venture into intuitive reading, and then I kind of connected the two together, which that was quite a few years ago that I decided I wanted to go exclusively to intuitive reading. What's your least favorite tarot card? Why? And if you could, how would you change it? So I don't have a least favorite card. I like all the cards, but I do have a least favorite suit, and that is the suit of Pentacles. It's just I've never really like connected or really been able to, I guess, make that click of, you know, like tapping into what those cards mean. And so I do have a hard time reading those cards. Do you prefer reading for yourself or going to someone for extensive readings? I do not like to read for myself because I feel I'm too emotionally involved and connected in, of course, in what I'm reading. So I know I don't have an objective viewpoint on the cards, and I feel like I see and I pick up on what I want to see and pick up most of the time. If you were to have a conversation with any of the archetypes of the tarot, which one would it be and what type of personality would they have? Archetypes of the tarot. I think I would like to have a conversation with the moon. Not only because it is, of course, my card, but I feel like the personality would be very much mysterious, friendly, but with a hint of like a darker side. They would be the person who would want to help you, but would more so lead you down the path that they think you should go on in a more unconventional way or unconventional manner. That in the end, it was for your own good, but along the way, you may not have been very appreciative of their efforts. Let's just say that. Have you ever thought of creating your own tarot deck? I have. I've definitely thought about that. I've been tinkering. I've also been tinkering with creating my own oracle deck. But as of right now, it's just not in the works. It's just not in the plans. I am in the midst of, number one, I'm jobless, so I'm still trying to find another job. Number two, I'm trying to get my tarot business up and running. I've kind of submitted to work a couple local like fairs and things like that, but no one has really messaged me back. Again, I do live in a very southern conservative area, so that is probably the reason. I'm not going to say for sure, don't like quote me on it, but yeah, I've thought about it, just never actually started it yet. What's the one card you fear of getting in a reading and why? One card I fear getting in a reading. That's a tough one. Let's see. Oh, so this goes back to when I was learning tarot. The Eight of Wands was always a card that the little white book or, you know, the companion book or the guidebook that came with whatever deck I was using, it talked about the Eight of Wands always being, you know, like moving forward, momentum, you know, continuing on your journey, or, you know, like what have you. But to me, it was always very blocked energy, and it was always very, you're very stagnant and you're very just like stuck where you are, right? And so for the longest time, I was always so afraid of getting that card in a reading because I would always have this like internal debate about whether I should go with what my gut was telling me or go with what the little white book or the guidebook, was saying. Now, but not saying that all, LWBs or the guidebooks or whatever, they all say it's very, like moving forward, momentum, because like each tarot deck is different. But when I was first learning, most of the ones that I read did say that. So that's why I never wanted to get that card in a reading. What system do you use or prefer? Rider-Waite, Thoth, or Marseille? I do prefer Rider-Waite just because I am a very intuitive reader. So Marseille, of course, with the pip cards and things like that, like I just don't, I don't get anything. And with Thoth, it is a very in-depth system, and I just haven't taken the time to dive in and learn about it and learn, its concepts and things like that. So it would be Rider-Waite-Smith. Do you use tarot spreads? If yes, which is your favorite? If no, why? So I generally do not use spreads. What I do when I am doing, I'm just going to shuffle while I talk. What I do when I am reading for a client is I'll just throw down however many cards seem appropriate at the time, or however many cards I'm called to put down, and then I go from there. It did take me a little bit of time to get past the thought and the notion that I had to use a spread. I had to have, positions for cards. I had to have, the questions for each, what have you. And that was a very hard roadblock and stumbling block that I had to get past, because I finally realized I am an intuitive reader. And part of being an intuitive reader for me is just throwing down what I'm called to throw down and reading it the way that I see it and the way that I interpret it. And I've come a long way, because I used to try and force myself to use spreads and to pick a spread that would match, the question that someone was asking me. But then I would always get into the conundrum of, because I tell my clients, you can tell me your question or you cannot. It's up to you. I can read the cards without you telling me the question. So when they chose to not tell me their question, I would, in my head, I'm like, well, what spread do I use if I don't really know their question? So it became this very internal struggle. So finally I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try this out and see how it goes. And I love it. And that's how I have been reading cards ever since. Now, I do use spreads if I'm doing a full moon spread or past life spread. And I do have a few spreads that I have made about, past lives and things like that. So I do use those, but for clients, I don't generally use a spread. All right, so that was the last question. Hope you enjoyed the new setting that I'm in. I'm in my living room. I thought I'd be a little comfy and talk to you all and have you all have the puppies next to me. You can't really see, but let's see if I can. Let's see. There's Odie. And then there's Farfar. Yep, so... Oh, you're not gonna go. You're gonna go. Okay. So, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If there's any questions or topics that you would like me to talk about, let me know. These planets and these retrogrades and things like that have really got me to where I am not doing anything. I'm doing the bare minimum. I just can't. I don't have the spoons for it. But just let me know. Much love, blessings, and growth, and I will see you next time. Bye.